tell me about yourself. What's your name, what you do, and what of your many jobs you work?
Yeah. John Moran. I've owned a few agencies over the last decade, sold a couple as well. My main kind of claim to fame, I guess, has always been the new versus returning users, new versus returning customers, and really analyzing your business metrics in order to actually grow and scale your company. I've actually invested in some fairly large third-party attribution software companies in the past, a couple actually, and yeah, it was actually I know this is obviously that you and I are friends and everything, but it's been a long road to find something that actually works, and I think that's been a big eye opener for me. Is like looking at third-party attribution has taught me a lot in this business, and the accuracy matters. So I've managed over about 440 clients currently. And we're spending about upwards of $110 million annually in just Google Ads ecosystem that I'm kind of directly overseeing. So I've been in many industries, been doing this for many years, and you can kind of see that once you get really good at Google Ads and attribution, you can kind of see the third-party attribution companies where they're accurate and where they fail. And that's been kind of my specialty, is demystifying business metrics in order to identify ways to use paid media to get the companies to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, demystifying. You do that good on your LinkedIn. I always enjoy those videos. So then, I mean, how important is conversion tracking and attribution?
That's funny. Sometimes actually not at all. Conversion tracking in platform is it's an indicator, I would say. That's all it is. It's really just an indicator. Most people want a blanket attribution. Most people want a blanket rules, like the first click of everything, and then measure by ROAS or measure by MER or whatever it is, even third party or even an app. And what people don't quite understand is that the conversion actions inside of a platform, Meta, Google, TikTok, whatever it may be, are indicative that portion of their journey is working somewhat successfully. But we never want to take that one campaign and say, oh, this campaign is making my company 4 times the money. That's an incorrect way to understand things. We, as an industry, messed up with trying to apply a metric that everyone liked and agreed upon and just said, okay, that was the best one, and no one really decided to kind of dive deeper and further into how did those metrics affect the business. So the in-app attribution, the conversion tracking is an indicator. I would use it as okay, there is some activity over here, but that has actual zero bearing on how that actually has affected the business. So it is important. It's more important for the paid media platforms to utilize. And I think that's the point that people miss. If I'm missing half my tracking, it's not the end of the world inside the platform. Every platform is missing like half its tracking, but you have to set your goals differently. If you're getting a 400% MER in reality, and the campaigns are saying 200% is what's coming out of Google, that's what you set your goal to. So I don't need to have all of them. I need to know if it's trending up or down and how that's actually impacting my business. So it's an indicator. It's a red light blinking saying, hey, something's happening over here, but it's not, wow, this is saving my company.
So what is your ideal outcome from getting attribution dialed in?
Yeah, understanding traffic flow and the user journey throughout the entirety of the ecosystem that is interactions with business is the most important. You're not going to change human behavior. You're not going to change the way that people shop. That is not up to us, especially remotely and digitally. What we need to do is analyze and better understand how people are interacting with our business, or how they are actually finding us, what's getting them to the point of I'm interested to now I want to purchase. All of those pieces have to be identified as a big puzzle. We need to know where the people are being engaged, where they're coming from, their quality, how long they stay, where do they go after that, how do they return, what do they take an offer on, and how do we get them back for an LTV. Those are things that you can use multiple attribution points. You can have time lag. You can have accrual versus cash accounting methods. We can identify if they click or if they viewed. All of those are pieces of the puzzle to say, we can see exactly what's happening. It's our job to interpret that and figure it out. And so that's where we're able to identify if some sources have really good users and traffic and engagement and sales, in a channel, it's our job to find out why and where is it coming from if it's not coming from there. And that's the area. We never want to say, okay, brand is looking good, dump more money into brand. No, brand could be giving a 10x because TikTok is getting a 0.2. And attribution will actually tell us that the TikTok getting a 0.2 ROAS is the reason why people are Google searching your brand, because millions of people are seeing it. Not a lot of people are clicking it. Doesn't matter to me. It's human nature and interaction. It's not my job to get them to click. It's my job to get more of those people.
Mm-hmm. So what were you doing to measure attribution for Wicked Reports?
I was actually using other third-party attribution tools that I've invested in that are inaccurate as a benchmark. And all that means is that when I say, okay, if this platform is saying that this has come from here, this platform is typically off by X amount of percentage because it over-attributed, under-attributed, didn't see, assumed, had AI, didn't have AI, had zero data, didn't have zero data, all the other stuff like that, and basically say, this is what this actually means. And so, if we need a 4x at the top line, this should have a 1.5x because it's probably getting a 3x. And so I essentially would have to explain, Google or Meta metrics, then explain why they're wrong, then explain the other third-party attribution software and why those are wrong, but piece those two together to say, well, crank it up over here. This software will look like this in platform will look like that, and then your top line should look like this. And then it was funny, one person asked me, goes, John, I got to pay you to demystify Google, then I got to pay you and for you to demystify the other third-party attribution software that I'm paying. And I was like, yeah, that's probably a really dumb idea, isn't it? And so
I'm in Salem, Mass. You're basically a data witch.
Exactly. I got a cauldron. I'm like, throw all your junk in here. I'll mix it around and see what the hell I can figure out. Yeah, so it was very expensive. Like, I'm not cheap, and neither is a third-party platform. So I was like, hey, you're right. So we just stopped using third-party attribution for a little while until obviously, you and I linked up, and you showed me what you were doing, and I was just blown away by it. So it's been like a big relief, because now I'm like, if Wicked says it, this is what we got to do now. And it's been working.
Well, I really like one thing about I like a lot of that, but people will want to set their campaign, let's pretend they use an NCAC, to their overall NCAC goal, rather than using an overall NCAC goal. And then the feeder campaigns, they should be more lenient. Mm-hmm. And people don't, that one concept is really powerful that very few people put in practice.
Yeah.
And then that costs them, they kill campaigns that are otherwise going to help them. So I always give you intellectual attribution whenever I tell anyone, and I'm like, hey, no, like if the top line's hitting, then everything else is doing its job, and just keep scaling it up and seeing that the top line keeps growing at the metrics that make you money. Then who cares if that campaign looks ugly? It's still working.
But what's funny is we as a species, for some reason, have such short-term memory loss and cognitive dissonance that it is fascinating. That is such a simple statement, all of a sudden blows people's minds. I'll give you two of them. One is people mostly measured by click attribution. Like, all right, because that's how you understand if a platform did something. Did they click and did they buy? Did they click and did they get a lead? Did they click? Did they call? What's funny though is how many clicks to conversions does a Super Bowl commercial have?
Yeah,
it's zero. So when you kind of stop that and you're like, okay, I understand the concept that you delivered me. Not everything is contributed. Yes. Now on Meta, what's your click-through rate? Let's just call it 1%. Okay, I have a 1% click-through rate on Meta. Okay. If Meta is doing well, if it's a high spending platform and it's doing good, you have to understand that all of the money you're putting into Meta, you're only getting 1% measurement of the audience you're impacting. 100 people saw the ad. 100 people are motivated. 100 people know about you. One person clicked. And you're like, well, yeah, but that one person clicked didn't have a 5X. So we're going to throw out the entire channel. That's what's interesting is how many people have you motivated or influenced or pressed an ad with versus how many people you clicked. You can't say all of these people hate me because only one person clicked. That's a standard. So measure it 1/100th of the way that you would measure an inbound Google search.
Yep. So then what caused you to look, it's been a while now, what caused you to look for a solution like Wicked Reports? I think we just got introduced by Ralph Burns.
Yeah, from Ralph. Yeah, it was funny. It's like you and I had a conversation in 2017 on the second floor of TNC, traffic conversions in 2017. I was like, oh, what's this? And It wasn't even after that I ended up, investing in a different third-party attribution company, because I saw even way back then, I'm like, whoa, like ROAS doesn't actually mean anything. Like I have a 5x ROAS campaign. I crank it up. It shows like $20,000 more revenue. And I'm over here high-fiving myself, and the client fired me because they lost 5. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So it's like,
good on you to like dig into that rather than just, this client, like you actually got into the root cause, which served you well.
Yeah, once your bank account gets hurt, you're like, all right, maybe I'm the one that's wrong.
Everyone will do that. People will
Right.
just like fret, and the client. I mean, not that the client's always right, but sometimes they have a point.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing this in their business way longer than I have. They've been selling lobsters longer than I have, like that kind of stuff. So usually, when the client says, I can't afford eggs anymore, you're like, all right, it's not you. Maybe it's not all you. So yeah, that's the sort of thing where it's, once you start to understand that there's so many use cases. The clients, they lose a whole bunch of money, and you're right, the agency's like, oh, stupid client. Okay, well, the client's still lost.
Yeah.
And it's like, or you have like a high ROAS and the client is doing fine and everything looks fine, and you don't know why everything's working, and you don't know why things are going well. And then all of a sudden the things start to not go well. And now you still don't know why things were going well or now not going well. And then the ROAS is high and you still get fired. So it's almost like if you can't actually save the client's bottom line, period, you will be fired. And that was one thing that when I joined Tier 11, it was like a really big eye opener for everybody when I kind of basically said, like, ROAS sucks. ROAS doesn't matter. And no matter what, you can show 1 billion ROAS, but you're still going to get fired. Okay, now it's kind of clicking. So that was interesting. Is I've never been fired from a client because I had a 1x return and the client was making $1 million profit a month. Yeah. I've never been fired off of that. Now I have been fired off of a 5x return where the client's only making $100 a month. So which one's more important?
Well, it's alignment on the expectations right up front. You got to be totally aligned, and then reinforce it when the client starts to probe in on a certain campaign that, no, we were aligned that if I hit this MER or NCAC goal, you're making money. And yeah, that's all I'm focusing on. So don't look underneath the covers.
Exactly. What we should be doing is,
it's challenging sometimes for people, but.
Oh, it's every client, every single client. This is the hardest thing you ever have to do, because it's like my revenue's down, yes, but we're still buying new customers at the same exact price we were last week. This email campaign last week, it didn't get a lot of returning customers, which is what you're used to seeing. So contact your email team, not me. Those things like that are real big clarity. Like everyone's like, revenue's down. I don't know. Contact the Google person. So our job is to educate and to train and to get them to understand. If I push here, this will stay here, but that will look good and the top line will go up. That's what we're expecting. We'll do it. I'll see you next week. So that's the way that we have to kind of coach our clients, rather than just saying, I don't know why it's not a 5x, sir. I'll get back with you, and then just crank up the T-ROAS goal, then yell at them when they leave.
So 4 more questions here.
Yeah.
What ways has Wicked Reports helped solve the issues you were facing before using Wicked Reports?
Yeah, there's most third-party attribution software only really see the last 3 clicks. Even Amazon and Shopify, it's like the last 3 clicks is a good golden rule. Like that's all they see, right? There's been 100 clicks. I can really kind of see the only last 3. Everything else is kind of broken and fragmented. So I'm going to count on this, which is not attribution. It just basically blends everything together. You turn up Meta, Google looks better. If you turn up Meta, Amazon looks better. You turn up YouTube, Amazon looks better. Like Amazon always looks better. So those are the things that help is being able to really just demystify that in a true reality, because the tracking's so good. I'm like, no, 2 years ago they actually clicked over there. Oh, now I know that it wasn't anything that we did this last week, right? Okay, so having that proof of historical performance is almost like being able to audit someone like the IRS. Like, no, you actually did spend $1,000 last week. All right, like you have the data to exactly prove or disprove any theories.
And then were there any aha moments that you had once you were digging in?
Oh, yeah. The amount of warm traffic that is actually being targeted by Google is unbelievable. Higher the TROAS and higher the TCPA targets, which means more restrictive it is, the more it targets warm traffic. And that's the reason why people can't actually scale those campaigns, is warm inbound traffic doesn't spend. And that's the number one reason why everyone's like, I can't scale.
So glad you said that, because I find AI enablement, the AI has to do a job, and its job is hit sales,
conversion,
and it always turns everything into retargeting. Meta is just like brutal.
Yeah.
You gotta like go in there and make sure you picked optimize for click, which I'm hoping they're still doing it. Optimize for clicks doesn't turn it into retargeting. Every other time it does, from what I've seen. So if you've seen that too, that's good confirmation.
The biggest epiphany is Wicked has taught me how the paid media platforms operate, and that is gold.
Great. Is there a favorite feature or a thing you have in the software?
The attribution. I love being able to look at first click versus full funnel versus last click, and then look at an accrual and a cache, and that will exactly tell me everything I need to know about the traffic. First click 2 weeks ago here, last click last week there. You can kind of see exactly where they're going through the journey. That's been my favorite tool, is just being able to manipulate attribution. And then
last question, what would you tell someone in the market for marketing attribution considering Wicked Reports?
It's if you don't get it, if you don't purchase Wicked Report, and I truly mean this, you are more so crossing your fingers than anything else in marketing. We always will chant the mantra like trust but verify. You can't expect what you don't inspect. Like you have to dig in. We're data driven. It's all bullshit. No one is. No one's data driven. Data driven, they can't even explain why the data actually says what it says or how it got there. So if you're not achieving what you expected with data to support it, you are guessing. If you're an agency, you're guessing with your client's money, and then you're getting paid for it. Imagine if you're a doctor who's just like, I think I should cut there. I hope he doesn't die. Like, that's what you're doing. If you don't know, I see the tumor here, we got to cut it out. Like, if you can't do that with paid media, you are guessing, and you don't have any business being in this industry. So I think that is the real big line. The people are like, I need to know why this is working, why it's not working. Those are the only people who will succeed in this business.
That's great. Well, thanks for your time. This was awesome. It's really almost like a training video for people.
Right?
I really mean that. It really was like something they learned, particularly that top line and setting the ROAS, the campaigns. It's just setting. That's just a real eye opener that people can't hear enough. That I think is really going to help. So this was great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Man. I got a whole bunch of case studies too. I can share with you too. Even on Wicked. I love